Hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. So great to be with you. Listen, what happened to the drones? Where are they? You think the drones just disappeared? Nobody's talking about this. Do you find it interesting that leading up to President Trump's election, there's drones everywhere, up and down the East Coast, over military bases out west? Drones are frightening and scaring the American public just about everywhere. And then all of a sudden, poof, they disappear. And President Trump says he's going to get to the bottom of it, and then comes out and says the FAA says these are all sanctioned flights and they were approved research operations. Well, the FAA didn't tell us that in the 2 months leading up to the mystery. When you had police agencies all across the country wondering what they were, the FAA didn't come clean and say it was a research operation. So what's going on here? I think we have a massive cover-up underway. I think some of the drones may be for research, but I think some of the drones may be something else. What? I don't know. So there's about 7 different theories about what these drones could be. I'm going to go through some of them, and then I found a couple news reports on the drones that are very, very suspicious. Drones over military bases. This is where I think China comes into play. So again, nobody's talking about this. We are. So let's focus on some of the drones. Before we do that, I want to tell you about my friends over at energizedhealth.com. As you know, the first 2 weeks that I went on the Energized Health program, I lost 15 pounds. And it was easy. I didn't do any crazy diet. I didn't do any crazy exercise or workouts. I just changed my life around a little bit. I got hydrated at an intercellular level, all right? And that's the big difference, not just pounding water, but actually hydrating your cells. This is the game changer. How do you do it? Well, that's what the Energized Health program is all about. I've never experienced a program like this before where I had such success so quickly and been able to keep the weight off. And I was already in good shape. I just need to tighten up, but I've spoke to people who've lost 200-300 pounds. Yes, 300 pounds. On the Energized Health system. So here's what you do. Go to energizedhealth.com/grant and tell them that I sent you. energizedhealth.com/grant. There's a master class you can learn about intercellular hydration. And I promise you, you're going to enjoy this. You're going to enjoy getting healthy. You're going to enjoy taking your life back. energizedhealth.com/grant. All right. So what is going on with the drones? Let's go through some of the theories about the drones. I would offer up that you've got the missing nuclear bomb theory. Now, missing nuclear material theory. This was the most plausible leading up to the election, into the inauguration of President Trump. Up and down the East Coast, you had drones that appeared to be flying almost a grid pattern. Now, many people had believed that there was some nuclear material that had went missing, and these were drones mapping the area to see where there was radiation, and if there was a spike in radiation the next night, they would know, well, maybe this is where that nuclear material is coming from. This would make sense in front of President Trump's inauguration. And let's face it, you can't fly drones at night for really anything other than if you're trying to map radiation. I mean, you want to fly drones during the day when you can see easier, if they have cameras. What's another conspiracy theory for all of this? You have the PSYOP theory that the government was running a PSYOP on us. I don't say no to this because it just ended. And then the government says, oh, don't worry about it, as if they know we don't have to worry about it. And if they know that we don't have to worry about it, then they knew what it was before they claimed they didn't know what it was. You following me? I know it's complicated. So the PSYOP is very plausible. So were they trying to see if they could scare us? Look, a PSYOP is designed to influence people's perception, right? Our views about government. It's very possible that that's what this was. They also think that this could have been a PSYOP that would divert our attention from something else. What would that have been? Well, that most certainly would have been the waning days of the Biden administration, that they didn't want us focusing on the horrible, absolute horribleness of the Biden administration, and they'd rather us focus on drones that were flying through the air. What's another theory in all of this? You have the theory of aliens. I mean, I hate to say it, but you got these orbs that were spotted, and the orbs are different from the drones. There were clearly orbs up there. What they are, I can't tell you. In the Rumble chat, Crystal Chavez says, absolutely, they want us afraid. Clearly, I think that's what you're seeing right now with the measles scare, the bird flu scare as well. They want us scared. They want us enabling to where they can just put a Band-Aid on us and the masses will flock to it. Now, what about the idea of aliens? So this Mitch Horowitz, a UFO expert and host of Alien Encounters, believes the term drones might serve as a psychological crutch to help the public process the idea of alien visitors. Drones, we know, are man-made. UFOs, we all look at as spaceships. UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, they like to call them now. It's a possibility. Then, of course, there's the mass hysteria theory. At the other end of the spectrum are people who say that drone sightings across the U.S. are mass hysteria rather than a real phenomenon, meaning that you all didn't really see what you saw, or you did, but you just joined the masses and freaked out about it. I don't buy into this one. The American public can be stupid at times, but not this stupid. Another theory is the copycat hoaxer theory. The simplest explanation may be that you got a bunch of drones up and then people start flying drones on their own. But remember, we had law enforcement that were putting drones up in the air that ending up couldn't find the drones that were flying. There's a foreign spy theory. This is the other top theory to me. So the top theory to me is they're mapping for nuclear material. That was the one that I was hot on early on in this. And the other theory is that these drones are either foreign or paid for by foreign entities, meaning Americans or people here in America are flying them on behalf of a foreign government that is spying. That, remember the Iranian mothership? That I have debunked. There was no way there was an Iranian ship off the coast of the United States flying these drones. I just do not buy it. Swiftly debunked. So those are the theories to all of this. And I think they're interesting theories. This is a well-known UFO investigator who was on with News Nation. Let's play you a clip of this.
The major question, do you think the Pentagon confirming it's investigating the allegations of Jake Barber is a major step forward here?
It's an incremental step forward. I think it's important because we do know that the new director of AARO, the Pentagon's UAP investigation office, a chap called Dr. John Kozlowski, were assured he's very serious about investigating the phenomenon. And he admitted to the Congress under oath late last year that he was indeed now talking to first-hand whistleblowers. So to get this confirmation now from the Pentagon that they are now indeed investigating is positive. But as Dr. John Kozlowski has said to several people, his powers are very limited. The Pentagon dictates what he's allowed to reveal and what he's allowed to say publicly.
So that's an important part as I cut him off here, because the Pentagon's not going to give you any information. Look at the Epstein files right now. We're still waiting. We were promised them. Now, I gave them a week, 2 weeks to get into office and figure this all out. And now it's just all starting to go away. Same thing with the UFO investigations. All of these things are getting buried. I always believe that it is more nefarious than we think. All right, this is why when they come up with, simple explanations for this. They were just doing research. We knew about them all the time. No way do I buy that. The simple cover-up is the most likely cover-up, but what's really going on is something far more nefarious. In my most humble minds, the Pentagon is not going to be telling us what's happening. We need whistleblowers coming forward, which we have. The problem is, are they credible? It's interesting. We don't know for the most part.
isn't a very proud history, I'm afraid, of the Pentagon wanting to be very forthcoming about what we do believe is a covert UAP retrieval and reverse engineering program. So really, I think a lot depends on the degree of transparency and openness that's permitted by the Pentagon, and a lot of that hangs on the new administration. It really does rest with the president and also to some degree with the Congress whether or not we're going to get any movement on any further disclosure about this alleged covert program.
It's very interesting. I know you say there is very clear intent from senior echelons within the Pentagon leadership to continue to suppress this story. Tell me more about that.
Look, there's been for decades, I believe, a covert program where the United States, I do believe, has hid its recovery, its retrieval of non-human technology. I know.
All right. Non-human technology. He didn't say aliens, which some people believe we've recovered remains of aliens as well. I don't know about all that. I'm not a super naysayer. I'm not a super supporter. I just don't know. I think there is evidence that there is something nefarious going on with what the government has and what they refuse to give us, as he's about to tell us. I'm going to continue playing that. And then I've also got an investigation about these drones over military bases, which doesn't make sense either. And when you see this local news report on it, you're going to say, what in the world is going on here? And how does the media just drop this story? Which they did, by the way. The media just drops it. All right, we'll get back to that in a second. I want to tell you, folks, if you're looking for an investment to get up to 20% annualized interest rate on your investment, paid monthly, by the way, and that's the key, then I want you to go to get20now.com. It's a company called NFN8. I have invested a sizable amount with them. They've lived up to their expectations with me. Every one of their promises has been promises made, promises kept. I'm so grateful for NFN8 because I'm getting 20% plus interest on my money, annualized interest paid monthly, direct deposited into my account. How do they do it? They do it with Bitcoin mining. I've showed you this video before, but this is one of their warehouses. They have many across the country. They buy the electricity cheap. They mine the Bitcoin. They sell it on the open market the next day. They pay you the interest rate on your investment. They use your money to buy the Bitcoin mining equipment. It's a little more complicated than that, but there's some great tax benefits to this program. And if you're looking for some place to put money and get a 20% return up to, this is the place to go. Get20now.com. That's get20now.com. Fill out the form. They'll call you right back. You'll get a call from the lead guy, too, by the way, not some crazy salesman. You're going to get a call from the lead guy. His name's Corey. He's great. This is who I dealt with. It's who you'll deal with. And he thinks like us as well. So make sure you talk to him about this. Get20now.com. Get20now.com. All right. Back to this UFO researcher and what he says about the government taking in alien technology. He believes we have it. Whistleblowers say we have it. Let's listen.
A lot of people will roll their eyes and scoff at such a notion, but the evidence is now getting pretty overwhelming that this is real. There have been noises from very senior people in this new administration, including the new DNI, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, the head of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, and also the head of the FBI, Nash Patel. These people have all indicated their willingness to investigate the UAP issue. What's interesting, though, is that the Pentagon recently came back with an answer to the White House on the drone incursions that you and I have spent a lot of time talking about. And they tried to explain them away as FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, authorized drones, that this was somehow some kind of authorized drone program. That's completely in contradiction to what the FAA said under oath to the Congress in December. So we're getting mixed messages from this new administration. And I'm not confident that we're going to see any degree of transparency. A lot rests, for example, on whether Anna Paulina Luna, the congresswoman who's launched this new transparency committee, is going to be allowed to ask the tough questions in a public hearing, and whether the new president, President Trump, is indeed serious with his promise to get to the bottom of the UAP mystery. So far, I'm a little bit skeptical, but we'll...
All right, so I'm skeptical too, but I think for different reasons that he's skeptical. I know President Trump is sincere about his desire to be transparent, have these files released. I also know how dug in the deep state is. I also know when you're talking about the Pentagon now and pet projects like alien technology, they are going to be very hesitant to release this. And I think there are national security implications that if there is some kind of wild alien technology that we have access to, do we really want the Russians and the Chinese knowing what we have access to? Or the other thought to this is, when you're looking about alien incursions, and I can't believe I'm even talking about this, do you recruit the help of China and Russia? It's not like we haven't done that before. We most certainly have. Either way, if we are or if we aren't, the Pentagon's not going to want you to know about it. And they're going to do everything they can to hide it. And so I'm grateful that John Ratcliffe, a man I know who's in charge of the CIA, he's been very quiet since he's taken over the helm. I haven't heard a lot about this. I'm grateful. He says he wants transparency. I don't know if we're going to get it. Same thing at the Pentagon. Same thing at the FBI. Kash Patel, a great buddy. I think he is sincere about giving us the information about all of these things, from Epstein to Russia collusion to all this, but I'm not sure the information is still there. It may have been destroyed. The deep state's refusing to give it up. These are all things that are really, really serious things to consider when wondering why hasn't this stuff been released. And there is national security implications. Look, on the Epstein files, I don't know about this. Now, what I don't want to happen on the Epstein files is for somebody who's innocent to get caught up in a guilty crew because they're listed on a list someplace that happens to just be a list and they never took part in anything. Now, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Same thing for UFOs and UAPs. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire. Same thing for Epstein. You know, it's called being in the frame. My football coach used to talk about this. The same players were in the frame. They may not have been the action guy in the photo at the football game or the one making the play, but they were always in the background. Same thing for these Epstein files. If you're always in the background, it means you're near the action. As a football player, you want to be always near the action. As an Epstein guy, I'm not sure that's the case. So that's interesting. Now there was this case of the drones over a military base. This was a local news station who did a report on it. I'm going to play it for you, and we'll talk about it as it unfolds here.
Chalk up another win for the mystery drones. Over the past few years, unmanned aerial systems of unknown origin have been buzzing restricted airspace, including highly sensitive military sites.
So documents have now been made public, which detail pretty disturbing incursions over a desert facility known as Plant 42. That is the birthplace of top secret technology. 8 News Now Chief Investigator George Knapp is here with that story tonight. George?
Yeah, these mystery drones sure do get around, don't they? Months before they filled the skies of New Jersey and U.S. air bases in the UK, swarms of unidentified whatchamacallits returned night after night and hovered directly over Plant 42 in Palmdale, California, an aerospace brain trust with distinct ties to Nevada's own Area 51.
All right, so you've got drones now over some very sensitive areas. Same thing as the FAA saying, oh, these were just there for research purposes. But you're about to hear the military allowed these things to incur their airspace without shooting them down. If I'm the general of a military base and I've got some unidentified drone flying over it, I'm taking it out. I don't know. I think China is the most likely culprit. I think Russia has its hands full with too much stuff to do right now. But let's listen to this report.
The most visible connection between top-secret sites of the Southwest are the unmarked planes of Janet, the hush-hush airline that flies workers from Las Vegas up to Area 51 or to Area 52 near Tonopah. It also ferries back and forth to Palmdale, and the sprawling complex known as Plant 42, a Mojave Desert enclave of brilliant engineers and aerospace brainiacs working on projects for NASA, the Air Force, and CIA. The cutting-edge technologies are vital to national security. All the big names are here: Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, Northrop Grumman, McDonnell Douglas. It's the birthplace of all sorts of amazing machines, including the soon-to-be unveiled B-21 Raider, and we're told the next generation of UAVs, that is, drones. Ironic in light of what occurred at Plant 42 back in August, when on 6 straight nights, drones of unknown origin invaded and hovered over the plant before vanishing into the dark.
So the documentation basically suggests that this was some kind of surveillance and espionage activity, and also they do state that the capabilities of these drones exhibited do suggest they were beyond hobbyist drones.
Chris Sharp is a London journalist who's been digging into drone incursions in the U.S. and U.K. He and a colleague used FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, to coax official reports about the Palmdale drones out of the Air Force. The first public hint that something odd was in the skies over Palmdale came from residents who reported seeing UFOs.
Holy shit! What the hell is that?
They shared images on X. Months later, the military acknowledged to a defense publication, The War Zone, that mystery drones had penetrated Plant 42 multiple times in August, but the whole thing was downplayed until weeks ago when the British reporters obtained the FOIA records. The documents showed that drones, which the reports referred to as UXS, meaning unmanned X systems, were of different shapes and sizes and with various colored lights. The first incursion was the night of August 2nd over Site 4, one of...
So, first off, before we get back to this, does this not sound like they don't know what the hell it is? Different shapes, different sizes, unknown lights, unknown origins. It took a Freedom of Information request. I promise you they wouldn't have gotten that information, though, if it really was so top secret that they didn't want it out. They would have figured out a way to bury it, but in the end, they get it, unless somebody made a mistake. But it doesn't sound like they know what the hell it is. People are freaking out, and yet the mainstream national media, this is local media in California that's covering this. The national media has been silent on this to this day. Again, I think maybe as we went through those 7 conspiracy theories about what this could be, maybe it's a combination of many of them. Maybe it is the public's becoming hysteric, but even more than that, the government wants us to live in fear. It is a psyop. They are looking for nuclear material. It is China in summer sex. Maybe you have all of these things happening at once. Maybe many of these theories, not just one, could be true.
10 sections within the plant. The drones stuck around for hours, and when they departed out over Palmdale, security personnel pursued them for miles off base, but lost them. The next night...
But lost them. Security personnel follow a drone. If it's just a hobbyist drone, you're not going to have to lose them. This is a powerful military base. Again, I don't buy it. And how were they allowed to hover for hours over a sensitive military installation without being shot down? Nobody wants to answer that question.
5 drones returned and visited 4 different sites within the plant. One drone hovered over Site 7 for 25 minutes. Similar incursions happened every night through August 7th, and even though some drones were visible for hours, Plant 42 says it was never able to get a single photo or video of any of them.
Like the fact that there were no photographs. Okay, that's really silly. I mean, so you've got these things appearing over multiple nights and no one thought to take a photo. I mean, that's BS to me. So that makes me question the documentation itself.
Back in 2022, folks inside the Plant 42 complex made it clear that they built sort of an electronic fence around this facility to deter or disable any drones that flew into restricted airspace. Whatever they had back in August of last year, it didn't work.
For Chris Sharp, this is familiar.
Which may then mean that they're in on it. That could be another plausible explanation, is that they're testing these drones, and the drones are being tested over the military base. People are seeing them. They don't want to admit that they're testing the drones and that they're in on all of this. Go into the Rumble chat, 5 Boys Strong. Interesting how the UFO crap comes out the same time that more Epstein material is in DOG hands. Smoke and mirrors. True, except 5 Boys, I'm the one who's bringing this up. Nobody else is talking about this today. I mean, this isn't happening, though. I did see someone was talking about a naval-based press conference. I don't know if that's about drones. If it is, that's just a coincidence that happened on the same time. That from the YouTube channel. All of this, though, leads me to believe that the government actually knows.
A few months after the Palmdale drone swarms, U.S. air bases in the U.K. had repeated drone incursions night after night. As Sharp reported back then, the U.S. threw everything it had at them but couldn't bring them down, nor could it track them when they left. The same thing occurred a year earlier at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. The drone overflights appear to be doing surveillance of sensitive military sites.
The common person, even Area 51, didn't know about.
Former CIA electronics specialist T.D. Barnes spent most of his career at Area 51 and wrote a definitive history of the base, CIA Section D. He suspects the drones are ours, conducting unannounced security tests at different facilities, and that the Pentagon will likely never admit to it.
So that's interesting. Not research, but security tests at the different facilities over these military bases. And you don't want to admit to it because you don't want the base to know it's a security test. That actually is a plausible explanation to me.
Sharp notes that the incursions have also invaded the airspace of key American allies in Britain, Germany, and Denmark.
So if it's Americans testing stuff on us over our sensitive facilities, then they've got a lot of explaining to do.
If the drones are an espionage effort by foreign adversaries, does this mean Palmdale has a nest of Chinese or Russian spies unleashing drones from the garage, then hiding them in a backyard when they're done? Is that also what happened at Langley Air Force Base, Wright-Patterson, and other key U.S. bases? If so, someone should let NORAD know. The folks in charge of protecting our airspace just issued a statement days ago saying drone incursions are an increasing problem at bases all over the U.S. They want it to stop.
And, George, if these are security tests by us, have they essentially been useful?
Yeah, I mean, they certainly have displayed some sort of a vulnerability. We can't track them when they come in. We can't track them when they leave. We can't shoot them down. That's a big gap in our systems. I hope that the smart people at Plant 42 can figure out some new technology that can fight this.
So I think the reporter, who did a very good job with this report, by the way, is being a little bit naive when he says we can't track them, we can't shoot them down, we can't. Well, you don't know that. That's only what they're telling you. And I don't believe anything this government tells me. The government hasn't given me a reason to trust them in a really, really long time. And it's going to be a problem when there comes a time when I need to trust them on something, and I'm not going to because they have a history of lying. It's the little boy who cried wolf syndrome. But this reporter saying you can't track them, you can't shoot them down, you can't do all this. How do we know that? I tend not to believe that. I tend to believe they most certainly could be shot down if we tried to shoot them down. I really do. All right, I want to turn now to immigration here. This hearing yesterday was great. Putting on the hot seat sanctuary city mayors. How much money do you spend? This was New York, Chicago, Boston, and Denver, all with mayors that are asleep at the wheel. New York, Mayor Eric Adams may be waking up a little bit as he sees his city start to change, saying enough is enough with spending $6 billion on illegal aliens. So we'll go through some of that hearing here in just a moment. Before we do, folks, let me remind you about Patriot Mobile. My Patriot Mobile phone is great. It's an iPhone, but I use the Patriot Mobile service. I have two networks on here, T-Mobile and Verizon, with two separate numbers. No other cell phone company can do that for you. So if I'm in one city where one network works better, I've got a full bars. I also have two lines on here. It works great for business. It's called a Patriot One plan, one phone, two lines. Here's how you get in touch with Patriot Mobile. Just go to patriotmobile.com/grant, patriotmobile.com/grant. They're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. So they've made a sacrifice to support causes, programs, initiatives that push the conservative agenda forward rather than hurt it. They are against the woke agenda. If you still have your cell phone with Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile, then you are funding the woke agenda. I would argue do not do that. You are not going to lose anything when it comes to connection service, and you will gain everything when it comes to customer service, 100% U.S.-based at Patriot Mobile. 972-PATRIOT is the number, 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code GRANT for a free month service. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. When you call them, make sure you tell them that I sent you. All right. So this hearing today was pretty darn fascinating. This is Byron Donalds, who I think is going to be running for governor in Florida, would make a great governor at that, questioning these sanctuary cities that have everything so backwards. They don't want, look, the mayor of Boston doesn't want ICE in her city. So I want you to take a listen to his questioning of these mayors.
Mayor Johnston, coming back to you, how much did your city spend on illegal immigration? Do you have a round number?
Over the last couple of years on all newcomers, whatever their status was, it's around $79 million since 2022.
$79 million. Mayor Johnson, Chicago. How much is the city of Chicago?
Can I just say before we get to Mayor Johnson of Chicago, newcomers, what we spent on newcomers, that's what you're calling them? Do you not understand your party is sinking? The American people don't want to call them newcomers. If you're here illegally, you're an illegal alien. I will be fine if you want to call them an illegal immigrant. It's not really what they are. But you have to call them illegal. They're not newcomers, okay? This is not like, the new tourists at Disney World that showed up on the weekend.
Spent on illegal immigration?
If you're referring to the 2022 up to 2024 of the buses coming from Texas, roughly the same percentage of the state of Texas, about 1% of our overall budget.
What is that? Because I don't have the city's budget in front of me. Numbers.
It's 1%, and if you want the actual calculation, we can make sure someone...
You're the mayor. You don't have the math in front of you?
It's 1% of the overall budget over the last 4 years.
That's why you're a failing
which
mayor.
is
Mayor
the same
Adams,
number that
how
was sent from us.
How much did the city of New York actually spend on
Texas.
illegal immigration? Mayor Johnson, I already asked you. You don't have a hard number. And if you don't have a hard number, you're not running your city well. Mayor.
Can you imagine being the mayor of a major city and you don't know what your budget is? 1% is pretty easy to figure out. You can give me any number. I'll be able to tell you what 1% is. Okay. 100, 1. Okay. 1,000. Come on. So here's the deal. Byron Donalds knows that these people are idiots.
Adams, how much did the city of New York actually spend on illegal immigration?
$6.9 billion of taxpayers'
$6.9 billion of taxpayer money on a problem that was fostered on the American people. Mayor Wu, in the city of Boston, how much did you spend?
We don't ask about immigration status and delivering city
services. You don't
services,
ask about how much money the city of Boston has spent on illegal immigration? Are you out of your mind?
We don't distinguish between immigration status.
Do you manage your budget or not, Mayor Wu?
That is how we keep our city safe.
Mayor Wu, do you manage your budget?
It's unbelievable. They're such hypocrites. They're such leftists. They're such radicals that the American people in their cities are being hurt, many times killed because of this nonsensical behavior. So Nancy Mace also got to questioning them. And, I love this woman. I think she is so great. Her questioning is to the point. There's not a lot of grandstanding, just like Byron Donalds wasn't grandstanding. He was getting to the point and have a quick reaction.
Mayor Wu, I have a last couple questions for you. Do you believe that ICE arresting a child rapist, quote, threatens everyone's safety, end quote? Yes or no?
No.
Does ICE arresting a murderous MS-13 gang member threaten everyone's safety? Yes or no?
No.
I would like to hold up this quote of you where you say ICE's efforts actually threaten the safety of everyone, end quote, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu. You're a hypocrite. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
What more do you have to say? She is a 100% absolute hypocrite. This idea of sanctuary cities, what does that mean? It means giving safe haven to criminals. By definition, what is a criminal? It's someone who's broken the law. By definition, when you break the law, in the end, somehow a person is injured, either physically or financially or mentally. If you're injuring physically, financially, or mentally an American citizen, we need you behind bars. How do they not understand that? How do they not get it? The reality is they get it. They just don't want you to get it. More questioning along the same lines of Byron Donalds.
Mayor Johnson, In the last 4 years, how much has Chicago spent on care for illegal aliens?
Thank you for that question, Congresswoman. So since 2022, since the governor of Texas began
Just
shipping.
tell me a number. I don't need a speech. Just tell me a number.
So since 2022, since the governor of Texas was shipping individuals to cities across this country, the city's budget, roughly 1% of the city's budget over the course of 4 years.
Mayor Johnston, the same.
You see what he tries to do, though? He's trying to tell you that it's Greg Abbott's fault, that it's Ron DeSantis' fault, that they shipped illegal aliens to his city. Who do you think let the illegal aliens into the country?
Question, and I don't need a speech, just a number.
Thank you, Dr. Congresswoman. Thank you, Congresswoman. It's $79 million over the last 2.5 years.
Mayor Adams, same question. How much has New York spent to care for illegal aliens?
Approximately $6.9 billion went out of our taxpayers' funds.
Mayor Wu, same question. How much has Boston spent to care for illegal aliens in the last 4 years?
We do not ask about immigration status and giving city services and providing that access, so we do not have a number.
Taxpayers have been bearing the brunt of the massive wave of illegal aliens who've entered the United States. The Biden administration seemingly declared taxpayers and hardworking Americans collateral damage in the pursuit of open borders. Again, Mayor Johnson, are NGOs providing services to illegal aliens in Chicago?
In accordance with the Welcoming City Ordinance, our sister agencies or city departments, we do not seek the status of any individual that is seeking service.
That wasn't the question. The question was, are NGOs, non-governmental organizations, which have turned out to be aiding and abetting terrorist cartel organizations, are they helping you push these illegals into American citizens? He did not answer the question. And this idea that we're not going to ask what your status is, well, why not? Special rights come along with being an American citizen. I get to vote. If you're not a citizen, you don't get to vote. Oh, wait, in a democratic world, you would. You have to know if someone's here legally or not legally in order to partake in these services. I don't want illegals getting Social Security, so you have to ask.
Mayor Johnston, are NGOs providing services to illegal aliens in Denver?
Thank you, ma'am. When folks arrive on the streets without food or resources or shelter, we do provide food or shelter regardless of where folks arrive from.
Mayor Adams, same question.
Yes, in combination of city agencies and nonprofits, we responded to the migrant asylum seekers humanitarian crisis that hit our city.
And Mayor Wu, I assume you don't know their status, but do you know if there are NGOs are providing services to people arriving in your city without any kind of documentation?
There are community organizations, many of them in Boston, who seek to serve all of our Boston residents.
How in the world did that idiot become mayor of the city of Boston? They're all idiots. Eric Adams is like coming around. He's a little better. He's kind of like a Fetterman guy. Like, not my guy, but you can tolerate him now. But not one of them answered the questions about NGOs. Not one. That's the problem, because the NGOs are the problem. Well, President Trump is cutting the funding to the NGOs. And that, folks, is a very, very good thing that he's cutting the funding to the NGOs. And we need to be cutting the funding. I want to talk a little bit about Hamas and what's going on in Israel. We are now getting word the United States is talking with Hamas. At the same time, President Trump issued a very stark warning to Hamas. Shalom, Hamas. Make a decision. It's basically saying hello and goodbye at the same time. Make a decision. You either release all of the hostages now or you'll have hell to pay. President Trump says it's the final warning. That, as the United States delegation is talking with Hamas, I don't even want to be talking with Hamas. I don't want to be negotiating with terrorists. When you look at the evilness they push down onto the American citizen, you have to say this group needs to be eradicated from the face of the earth. Well, there were members of the there were hostages who were freed that met with President Trump in the Oval Office, and I want you to take a listen to some of them.
He brought a cutter and
Because the animals that were holding him captive don't care about his life. They don't care about humanity. They care about one thing: pushing radical Islam, eradicating the world of Jews and Christians next. That includes eradicating the world of Israel and the United States next. So when President Trump says, this is your final warning, they better listen, because Hamas is not going to win this war. Israel, hand in hand with the United States, will. And here's my message. Iran, you better look out too, because I don't want to hear these stories from any more hostages.
Thanks to President Trump, I'm a free man. I can hug my mother again. I can hug my brothers and sisters.
I was moved 33 times, spent time in tunnels with no air to breathe, barely food, hardly any water, saw horrific torturing of hostages that I spent time with, and I am so grateful and thankful to be here because of President Trump and the administration's great efforts.
The mainstream media doesn't want you to know that President Trump helped get these hostages released, that the strength and might of the United States under President Trump's leadership helped get these hostages released. And I promise you, the strength and might of the United States under President Trump's leadership will help future hostages get released. Now, what I don't want is trading 600 terrorists for a couple of bodies. The soul is not in the body anymore. As hard as this is for me to say to you family members that I know want your loved ones back. But if they're dead, I promise you their soul is with God. I promise you that. I know that. Trading 600 terrorists for the bodies of your loved ones will only get more Israelis, more Jews, more Christians, more non-believers of radical Islam killed. Negotiating with Hamas cannot happen. Hamas consistently breaks every agreement it makes.
They're all being released right now. We have so many hostages just waiting to be released.
My little brother, it's still in there.
My family and I myself, we believe you've been sent by God to release them.
We think they could get out thanks to you.
Yes. We are here because of you.
We're alive, we're free people because of you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
That's unbelievable. What a story. I've never had anything like this. I mean, I've saved a lot of people, but I've never seen anything like this where you lived under those conditions. Horrible stories. Not even believable.
Thank you.
We'll get them out. Watch.
You hear what President Trump said? We'll get them out. So Hamas, when President Trump says, shalom, Hamas, hello and goodbye, what is it? Make the right decision. Release these hostages now. I think we're making progress, but I also see a stark reality that all hell may rain down upon Gaza and these Hamas lunatics. And when it does, hopefully they're gone for good and they never are able to take another Jew hostage or Christian hostage or Israeli hostage or American hostage or any country citizens hostage. That's my prayer, that Hamas is gone for good. All right. turning now. Well, you know what? Before I turn now, did you see this video of all these senators, 22 senators that apparently read a script about how bad President Trump and Doge is? They literally read the script. They don't understand how to do messaging. I'll show it to you here in just a moment. But before I do that, I want to tell you about my friends over at the Wellness Company. TWC.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. This is one of the best kits they have. There's got 8 prescription medications in here. Antivirals, antiparasitics, antibiotics, including ivermectin in here. Speed of delivery is the key. So you want one of these kits in your house. God forbid we got a natural disaster, power outages, snowstorms, terrorist attack, whatever it might be. Drugstores close down and you're out of luck. You'll have those prescription medications on hand. Call me a prepper. Call me being ready. I don't care what you call me. I got help for you if you need it, from ammunition to food to water to a power supply, and yes, prescription medications. This is the field kit. This is the mother of all prescription medical kits. I love this kit, and let me give you a look inside here. Lots of prescription medications, including steroids in here. There is an EpiPen as well. Every household should have one of those. Prednisone is in here, and a guidebook of how to handle everything and what its best use is in here as well. So the field kit is awesome. Again, TWC.health/grant. TWC.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. All right, folks, have you seen this? And by the way, if you're watching on Rumble today, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, okay? I think we've got 23,000, 28,000 subscribers, something like that. What I would like to see, we've got to get this number up to about 100,000 subscribers. I got a long way to go, I know that, but that would really help. So if you're not subscribed to the channel today, please subscribe. Huge, huge help of letting you know when we go live. All right, so thank you for that. And share the link, too. Like and share the video as well. All right, moving on to this Democrat PR plot to read from a teleprompter talking points about Doge that really make them look bad.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
That ain't true. That's what you just heard. Since day one of Donald Trump's presidency, prices are not down, they're up. Inflation is getting worse, not better. The prices of grocery, gas, housing, eggs, of essentials, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has done nothing.
How dumb are these people? They're reading a script. All three of them are reading the exact same script. Cory Booker, Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, and they think that's going to be effective? That the American public realizes some Democrat political hack writes you a script, you just read it, regurgitate it, and then we'll push it out and everyone has the same script?
To lower prices. Instead, he's part of violent criminals who savagely beat police.
I can't. Now, look. In politics, talking points are important. I will admit to you that I will take place in calls with Republican strategists in the White House at times, to talk about what's the best way to message something. They don't tell me what to say by any means. There may be I'll give you an example. Promises made, promises kept. You hear that reiterated over and over and over again from President Trump's surrogates, from his cabinet, from his supporters. There's a reason for that. We're drilling that into the minds of the American people. Promises made, promises kept. When I worked for the NRA, we did the same thing. A good guy with a gun is the best way to stop a bad guy with a gun. Wayne LaPierre coined that phrase. We pushed that out to every single person. We had lawmakers saying it over and over again. We still use it to this day. There's nothing wrong with talking points. There's nothing wrong with phrases that you want to bang over the heads of Americans to just ingrain it in them. But writing a minute-long script or more to read verbatim, that is not, folks, going to get you anywhere, okay? And that's the sad reality of all of that. All right, folks, well, you guys are fabulous. We got the Real America's Voice show tonight. All right. Don't forget, again, please subscribe to the Rumble channel if you're on it. YouTube, Facebook. YouTube, man, is a dungeon. If you're watching on YouTube, Andy Heinrich, thank you. Like 3 people watching. How in the world is that even possible? It's got to be more than 3, but no. Rumble, 1,400. Big difference. YouTube, Facebook, those, not so much. Though Getter and Twitter, we get about 1,000 people live at any given moment. That's respectable. So I thank you. Like the post, share it, copy, paste the link to the Rumble video, spread it out to your friends. The more people we spread this message to, the better it is. We'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you tune in to that. It's great. GrantStinchfield.com. You can sign up for the email list, GrantStinchfield.com. I appreciate all of you. Stinchfield's Army rolls because of you. Thanks for watching, everybody.